Hello, people. I'm here. It's Monday. What is it? The 5th of August? Cheers, cheers, cheers. And I've got that lovely Kraftwerk t shirt on. It's one of those mornings where I wrestled with it. I don't really, want to necessarily make a video. It's not that I don't have anything on my mind. We all do all the time. So I'm going to just go with exactly what is happening. Um, Mostly an update on me. So I received in the mail this weekend my early voting ballot application, which I always vote. I don't want to show my address. I always vote in person. I've never done this, and I don't think I will. I was looking at it. It's been on my mind, watching, the latest news. Definitely will be voting, as I always do. Watching events unfold. Quite honestly, the last record I showed you is the last record I played. Well, no, that's not true. So I can show some records, but really what's going on is I'm still in my personal financial lockdown, which is I successfully avoided the temptation to go to the record stores this weekend. It's the 1st of August, and I just really need to pinch pennies as I address house issues. And so the updates this weekend for Homers and for Grapefruit had a couple things that I would, I'm kind of interested in that, but I don't have to have it. So still no new records to show. When it comes to stuff that's sent to me to review, I have not been in the mood to go back and re-listen anew to some of the most recent stuff I've gotten from Discus Music and Public Eyesore. So I don't have any new perspectives on those releases. I just haven't really felt like playing a lot of music. I'm playing my bass. I'm just going to go with my stream of consciousness. So not a lot of records to show. Been out in the living room playing bass. I had a digital purchase this weekend from someone who left a note saying they're looking forward to the Muse #2. I'm not working on the Muse #2 at all right now. I have, like I've said before, I have a program of music to work on with Blake in particular that could become the Muse #2. Or I could start fresh. Both are possibilities. But I'm not working on anything right now. Not really feeling motivated or needing to. So cheers again. I saw Blake last week. It was good to see him. We're simpatico. So when I'm ready to push him, he's ready to be pushed, but not right now. Probably in the fall, hopefully, all goes well and we slide into the fall with no major catastrophes. That's when I'd like to get back to it. So, okay. I keep wanting to grasp at something I started to talk about in a recent video where I lost my train of thought and I didn't finish where I was going, but it's not coming back to me. It might. But anyway, Had a good visit with my other Nick friend, not Nick Backler with the kid, but my other young friend Nick, who is a welder. That's what he is. He has a good job. We had a good conversation. My conversations with Nick are very thought-provoking because he is a young man, real middle-class background, white, where a lot of what he was taught he just assumed was real. And we have these conversations, and especially since he had that incident with the mushrooms overdosing, he's really been taking much better care of himself, reading more and learning things. And it's interesting to talk to him because he's getting his mind blown as he learns about how badly corrupt everything is. We were talking about public figures. I'll show these records in a second. I won't mention any names because it'll just trigger people to get shitty, and I just, I don't want that. But he was talking about how he learned some interesting information about the pharmacological, about big pharma. And he was suggesting I read the book, and I said, well, what'd you learn? And started to share things that I know through my activism, but also through my past jobs working in hospitals and at a community mental health center, about how everything is under the table and favoritism and money talks, and everyone is literally everyone is on the take. And it was, it was just really kind of a wake-up call for him because, as a young man trying to put his life together, it's a constant financial struggle. And he's always wanting it to be easier. And he'll talk to his grandparents about how when they were coming up in the 50s and 60s, how a lot of things were still in place infrastructure-wise that they could rely on to help them get ahead. Those things are not in place anymore. So that was a highlight of my weekend, was that conversation. And while we talked, he pulled a record. We sat in here because it's too hot out there right now. And what he pulled to listen to was Three Friends by Gentle Giant. Intrigued by the cover. He didn't know this, even though I played Gentle Giant for him before. I enjoyed this. It didn't catch his attention. While we were talking, I noticed, music is so important to me. I noticed during our conversation how the Gentle Giant, as a listen, especially Three Friends, is a solo listen. It's not a sort of record that you play with friends unless it's a friend who's really into the album and wants to go down that road and that journey that this album takes you on. So I played one side all the way through. I enjoyed it. Nick didn't even notice it. I decided to put on something else. I just showed this, so let me just keep it honest. So the next thing that I put on was, I just showed you guys this Realization by Eddie Henderson. And it wasn't long before it interrupted our conversation because it caught his attention. And what was his comment? Well, it might not have been on this. We want to know what this was. I didn't digress from our conversation to talk about the album because I do that a lot. That nerdiness, trivia stuff that I like. But after that side played, I was looking at the records because he sits here in that chair. So I'm looking at him and seeing the records. And the Mahavishnu is right there. So it kept calling to me. So I put on Visions of the Emerald Beyond. And it really made an impression on Nick. We were hardly through the first two songs. And he said, "What is this?" And he said it like that. "What is this?" And then the next thing he said was something to the effect that, when you play music over here, it's so good. And I'll be thinking, I need to be listening to that. I said, we'll take note and put it in your Spotify playlist, that came up. Spotify, because he's, again, a fairly typical American consumer. He doesn't know about how Spotify is such a ripoff. We talked about it. I told him I'm on Spotify, but I refuse to use it. I never listen to stuff on Spotify. Never. Because they exploit the artist. They play the music and keep the money. The other album that I played for myself all the way through either the day before, and then I played this while I was talking to Nick, and this didn't register to him, but I let it play anyway because I love it so much, is Sagittarius, present tense. Kurt Betcher is Gary. It's Kurt Betcher, mainly. Well, you see all those names like, Mike Fenley. Glenn Campbell is thanked on here. Gary Usher is not, I don't see his name here, but those guys, that were making some of the most fantastic pop, working with the Beach Boys in the 60s. This came out in 1968. Even this is getting pricey to find. It's a reissue, but to find an original would be something. This is awesome. So now, since it's still sitting here, I have an original of the second album, which is not as collectible. The Blue Marble, Sagittarius. And this is not quite as successful as this because it's like they attempt to just, it sounds to me like they attempt to continue what they started on this album, but the overall quality of the song does not stand up. In My Room, which was covered. See, yeah, Gary Usher's name is all over this. Well, I thought, yeah, Gary Usher and Kurt Betcher. Yeah, there they are. There they are. They're both working together. They were also in that band, The Millennium Begin. Do you know that album? So the Beach Boys did In My Room, and they do their version of it on here, which is pretty good. It's one of the highlights of it. But as it goes along, it just kind of sounds kind of the same. Not an improvement or a move forward on the first album. So there's that. It's a great album, though. And then, if you follow me on Facebook and the music groups, you saw that I started my Sunday, and it's still sitting out with this. I used to have an original. This was one of the first records I was turned on to regarding cosmic music in my senior year in high school by my friends, the Reese brothers. They gave me their original copy of this, which again, you're young and you're foolish, so you don't keep it. I don't know what happened to it. Schwingungen, I forget what that word means. This is a classic of cosmic spacey rock. Klaus Schultz is on drums on this. He's not even on synthesizers. Very spacey. Very good. Cover is perfect for it. Ashra Temple. So that's the music that I have to play for you. Last thing I'll share is that DJ Trish, when she sent me that recent package of mixed CDs, she had this in there too. Ocean Dreams by Dean Evanson. One of those new age things. Dolphins and whales weave their melody with the evocative music of flutes, harps, and synthesizers. This is an old CD where it's a CD-ROM, and it's obsolete. All of the CD extra material in here is obsolete. It doesn't play. Not that I needed to, but it's like, isn't that funny? Here today and gone tomorrow. That came up in the conversation with Nick too. iPods. I've never owned an iPod proper. Frankly, I couldn't afford it when they were the thing going. I couldn't afford one. And now they're like museum items. and the phone is the iPod. But I was thinking about that in relation to this. Not that the extra information would be really much of anything at all, but the fact that you can't even access it anymore. It's like, which makes me think a bit about AI. I'm not worried about AI, but I do see where we're using AI a lot daily. But it could get to the point where AI has crossed a threshold where it's more intrusive than we want it to be, more involved in our lives than we want it to be by choice. I see that. Because technology and progress is mostly fueled by those who can afford to fuel it. And I dare say that I imagine a lot of technological and medical advances and even military advances we never see until years later, if at all. It goes directly into the lives of those who can afford it. I see here in the news where Elon Musk has shared his second brain implant. Is that what it is? You see it in the science fiction movies, Neuralink, plugging computers directly into the brain and stuff, And they're working on it, and computer enhanced humans. We as lay people don't know how far that is so far, because all that stuff is black projects. We don't get to know. It's interesting how the movies give us a glimpse into likely scenarios that are playing out, but we watch it as entertainment and mostly probably can just kind of figure, well, it's just the movies. But I have long sussed that the movies are showing us a lot of what's going on. We can't believe it. So the Neuralink, I'm using that because I just saw that term being used in a movie, but relating it to this, I was trying to look for it in the news clip. I'll get back to it. I'll find it. But to me, these advancements are not for the benefit of the common man, which is what I am and what most of you are. So I'm not excited by it. So let's get away from that and try to be a little more up tempo or just pleasant. I hope that they get the fires under control. This is just crazy. Today is another 100-degree day in Omaha, and it's supposed to actually go down to below average in temp tomorrow. I'm frankly looking forward to it, hoping it doesn't bring any storms, but this heat is just insufferable. Hope you all are doing okay. When people write long things in the comments, I read them. I don't necessarily feel an obligation to respond to them. I deleted one question this morning in the comments because someone asked me if I was religious, and my thought was, why are you asking that? I'll leave it right there. Hey, have a good day. Let me know how you're doing.